Good evening and welcome to Upon Further Review. We have episode 4 going on here tonight, and Jeff Whitener not with us tonight. He's a little under the weather, praying he comes back here. We've got Matt Bates as well with us here, and we are going to just kind of do this. We're going to tandem this here, Matt, and kind of go through the week 4 results. By the way, how you doing, Matt?
Doing good. We had a long, quick weekend there, Mr. Ray. We did a lot of work in a short amount of time, so just trying to get the legs, the feet, the voice, get everything back underneath us before we pick up and get ready to go back at it again. But I think we'll be able to run the ship today. May not sail as smoothly, but I think we'll be all right nonetheless.
Yeah, a very short turnaround as well. So we'll throw up the week 4 results here. Let's go through them real quick. Festus 56, DeSoto 7, our live stream STL Friday Night Blitz game of the week. Crystal City 42, Confluence 0. St. Vincent 19, Herculaneum 16. Hillsboro 31, North County 10. Perryville 40, Bayless nothing. St. Dominic 42, Grandview 6. Seckman 58, Melville 7. Valley Catholic 68, Potosi 13, St. Genevieve 44, Fredericktown 6, Lafayette 49, Northwest 0, St. Pius X 27, Jefferson 12, Rittner 34, Fox 20, Windsor 41, Berg 6, our Saturday version of Friday Night Blitz that we covered there up at Berg. So let's maybe take a look at one or two of our games here that you're kind of intrigued by, and I guess let's just start with our game of the week here, the Festus DeSoto game here, Matt.
Real quick, as you look at the scores, the one thing that really jumped out to me, like when you see them up on the screen, there's only like 3 games that were. I mean, so you look at St. Vincent Herky, that's only a 3-point game.
Right.
Hillsboro North County, 21-point game. Then you come down a little further, and everything else, you're looking at like 42-0, 56-7, 68-13. I mean, right. The disparity. I mean, that's what really stuck out to me, at least initially, when you see like all the scores in front of you like that.
Right.
That, wow, like how quickly games can get away from you. But let's start, yes, with Festus DeSoto, our game that we did.
Okay.
Hayden Bates. It's one of these things where it seems like every week we talk about like, dynamite, small packages, explosive, and like Austin Romine's another one. Kevin Emanuel from Eureka, Job Smith. Kids that are getting like 8-10 carries a game, and they're getting 170, 180 yards.
Right.
And when you look at the damage that Hayden didn't have very many carries, and I mean either got to or maybe just short of 100 yards. But when you look at the game that Eli Tebow had,
right,
that young man, 33 carries. At one point, at least from the math that I had, he had just crossed 100 yards, and like his last 2 carries that he had, he lost, I think, like a total of 6-7 yards on. But when you're looking at, say, like Festus's running game that they had, Hayden Bates, they didn't run a whole lot.
Right.
Eli Tebow, sophomore, he's not going to make it to his senior year if he's going to keep getting pounded 33 carries a game, where some of these teams now where you see say like Crystal City, St. Pius, nine players that have a touchdown. Crystal City, 5-6 different guys that have a touchdown.
Right.
Hillsboro, 11 different guys that have a touchdown. When you compare the dynamite and small packages where you've got some love to spread around, I think I know Coach Woolen's got a couple aces in his back pocket, and like Joey Escobar. We did week 1 game at Bishop de Berg.
Mm-hmm.
The kid still has only 5 carries for 45 yards, and it was from that week 1 game up there at Bishop de Berg.
Right.
And I mean, they've got a young backfield anyway, but I think getting some back rotation in there where you could get a couple guys that could spread some of those carries around. That's just me and our analysis, because that's what we do here on UFR. I like to hear your thoughts on that as well, because like I said, I think that the dynamite in small packages is fine when it works, but I don't think you can keep one kid carrying the load like that.
I think it just kind of depends on the packages that each team has sometimes, you know. I mean, give you the stats here real quick on Hayden Bates. We were talking about him earlier. 4 touchdowns in the game, around 80 yards total. So, I mean, he didn't break that 100-yard, 100-yard spot. But, you know, with that all being said, I mean, they were able to throw the ball around when they needed to as well over, to Armand Branch. Kids like that, and
right.
Couple of big strikes. So I think the amount of, again, it depends on, I guess, the system. That's the hard part, is the system on it. And with that being said, Coach Ofodile, he likes to spread things out, kind of goes in that spread formation, whatnot, and that way you've got more options. DeSoto doesn't really use that as much. I mean, they will throw the ball around. They did strike a couple of times, but nothing to write home about. Their big, 7 points was, I believe, off of a punt return. So it's you talk about dynamite in small packages, but I think it's it kind of comes down to what's the scheme that each team uses. You've got Hillsborough that's ground and pound all day long. Herculaneum tries to do the same thing. Most of the schools in the area here are going to be, run first to set up the pass. But, for Festus, they kind of did a little bit of both, So that's kind of my take on that particular game. Hey, we're here with Coach A.J. Ofadile of the Festus Tigers. How you doing, Coach?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Real good, real good. Hey, a great win over DeSoto this past Friday here, 56-7. Let's talk a little bit about things that were working for you guys. You had the run and the pass working. So take us through that game.
For us, one of the things that we want to emphasize is I think we've done a good job all season, regardless of opponent. Maybe not Valley quite so much, but we've done a good job of being methodical, picking up first downs, getting plays ran, having pretty good tempo in terms of how quickly we get the ball snapped, but we hadn't been as explosive as we'd like to be, offense or special teams. And this was a game that we got some more explosive plays. Armand had the 78-yard touchdown. We had the 2 kickoff returns, a few more big plays than we'd had at any point in the season. And that's really kind of over the last 3 years, it's kind of been our calling card, is these explosive plays. And we've done a much better job of processing through drives, but not been as explosive. But this week was one that we got some of those plays, and it showed on the scoreboard.
Now, going through this, you're 4 weeks in here, and you've kind of seen, had 2 real rough ones early. Now you've had 2 really good games here. The progression where you want it to be?
And I don't know that the scores are indicators of the progression. I mean, you look at the opponents, and I'm not sure I'd necessarily characterize other than just not winning, the St. John game is a rough one, really competitive game. Ended up being a 2-score game because of a special teams kind of glitch at the end. A game that we were right into the end, scored a lot of points, generated a lot of offense. They did as well. So we were playing at that point, I feel like, at a pretty high level on the offensive side of the ball for sure. Some miscues on D, which we've been working over the last 3 weeks to shore up. So there definitely has been a progression there, but you don't necessarily know until you're tested in the same way. And so this week will represent that. We play a really good opponent, and we'll see how much better we've gotten since those first 2 weeks there. And then offensively, it's just been, we've been consistent. I'm not sure that there's been a big progression in terms of us evolving as a team. We've worked through some injuries and some personnel things that we've had to kind of address each week, which is par for the course at the high school level, really any level of football. But again, opponent-wise, we played 2 really, really high-level opponents in those first 2 weeks. Early in the season, you can figure out who you are at that point, get a chance to go back a couple weeks and retool, and now we'll see another really high-level opponent to get an idea of, really where we stand after those first couple weeks. So.
Yeah, exactly. I noticed you have the Hillsborough film behind you there, and we'll take a look at Hillsborough this year. And it's been a struggle the last few years against Hillsborough. What do you feel like it's going to take to get the monkey off the back and break through and get that win against the Hawks?
For us, we just have to execute game plan and be consistent. I think it's important for us, and as you see, we're watching last year's game, and we're just kind of going through, not necessarily anything schematically as much as how many opportunities there were for us on that field that night that we just did not convert. And that's the one thing that we have to believe in. We're going to have a great plan. We've played them since I've been here 3 times. I feel like all 3 times we had a really good plan on the offensive side of the ball, for sure. We played really hard. The last game, our defense had a really good plan, played really well. First game, defense had a really good plan, played really well. First game of 2021, I think we had a decent plan. On the defense side, didn't execute that well. But the point being, in all of those games, the consistent piece was the plays were there to be made. The first 2, 2020, and then the first game in 2021, we made those plays. We rolled up a lot of offense. We scored a lot of points. We won the first one. The game was in our hands to win in the second one. And, we turned the ball over going into the end zone late. And then the third one, we didn't generate offense because we left a lot of plays on the table. So for us, what we're really focused on, and our whole purpose in watching that game is like sometimes you kind of get a monkey on your back a little bit, and you make the situation more than what it is. And for us, it's just focus in, execute, make the plays that are available. They got some really, tremendous players, and everybody that has the ball in their hands is going to be an elite level football player for them on their offensive side of the ball. Defensively, their linebacker group is probably the 3 best that we'll see all season. Really, really high level players. But the same could be said of last year. And, schematically, those plays will be there. And it just comes down to, can you execute them? Can you take care of them when they're there? And, that'll be our deal. So.
Well, there you have it. Appreciate the time here, and good luck to you this week.
Appreciate that. No problem at all.
All right, that's A.J. Ofadile from the Festus Tigers. We're here with Coach Brent Roth from the Perryville Pirates. How you doing, Coach?
Doing good. How are you?
Really good, really good. Hey, great big win there for you guys. Get in the win column this past week, 40-0 over Bayless. Taking a look at some of the stats here. Alex Sanders, 11 rushes, 173 yards, 3 touchdowns. Ben Hotop, 22 rushes, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns. Didn't really even have to pass the ball all that much, but you did get 1 passing touchdown out of Rylan Graham. Take us through the game from Friday night.
Yeah, we kind of just stuck to what we've been doing all year with our run game. And, the passes were there, but at the same time, we're more confident in our run game, and it was working. So I didn't really see the need to chuck it down the field too much. We got Graham out of the pocket a couple times and hit a couple play action passes. But overall, the O-line played really well. And then Sanders and Hotop were running the ball hard. So didn't really see the need to detour from the overall game plan coming in, which was run the ball.
All right. Awesome. So taking a look at just the progression of the season. You're in getting ready to go into week 5 here. What's the progression been like? Are you happy with where you're at right now with your team? Seems like starting to see some positives, especially this past week.
Yeah, we still have not played our best football in even 1 quarter. Even against Bayless, we're still making mistakes, things that we can fix, little mental errors here and there. So, definitely would have liked to have a better record at this point and kind of had things rolling at this point. But at the same time, you want to be playing your best football at the end of the year. So as long as we continue to improve on ourselves and like you said, playing that best football there at the end of the year when playoffs start, that's kind of where our mindset's at right now. Obviously we're scouting our opponent, but these last few weeks we've really been focusing on ourselves and just trying to perfect our craft and continue to improve and hopefully put 4 quarters of good football together, which I don't think we've done yet.
Excellent, excellent. You have the Grandview Eagles this week coming in here into week 5. What do you have in store as far as the game plan is concerned?
Yeah, Grandview runs the triple option, which is going to be the first time we have seen that this season. We saw it a little bit. We faced Grandview this summer in a contact camp, and then both Crystal City and Pius run a little option stuff that we face in our jamboree. So we've seen it a little bit, but we haven't really touched on it since the season started. So that's kind of the game plan this week is make sure on defense all of our keys and everything are sound and everybody knows what they're doing so we don't make a mental error on that side of the ball. And then, as I just said, offensively, not trying to be too fancy, man, just, again, trying to be good at what we do. That way we don't, try to be too cute and end up making mental errors. So I think physically we can play with anybody on our schedule, including our district. It's just a matter of not shooting ourselves in the foot, which we did the first 3 weeks of the season.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we appreciate the time, and thanks for catching up with us, and we'll catch you down the road, Coach.
Absolutely. Thanks for letting me talk.
Appreciate that. That is Coach Brent Roth from the Perryville Pirates. Let's move on. We've got
Crystal City Confluence.
Yeah, let's talk about Crystal City. 4-0 Crystal City.
Let's talk about 4-0 Crystal City.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And again, like we've said during the broadcast, and I will say it again, you can only take care of the teams that are on your schedule.
Right.
So you go up to Confluence, you beat them 42-0, because that's what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the other thing that can happen. You go to 3-1 because you overlooked Confluence, and they come up and they sneak one out. You take care of the business that's in front of you. And, again, credit to Coach Fox, because all you're doing is you're playing the teams that are on your schedule and you're beating them.
Right.
And, if somebody wants to cry and moan and be like, well, they don't have as tough a schedule as what we do, but you know what? They got a schedule that and they're playing it.
Yeah.
And that's all you can ask your kids to do, and especially, and I think like we just mentioned it last week. You had a program that had the life-saving paddles on them, if you will.
Yeah.
To where they were getting ready to pull the plug on this thing.
Right.
And so, right now, next week's game, I mean, if the math is right, if they go 5-0, I believe, they're guaranteed a winning season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think
so. For a program like that, to where you could even just say at week 5 with a win,
mm-hmm.
you don't have to do anything else the rest of the year, and you can have a winning season. Are you kidding me?
How long has that been since that's happened? Right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. This is the situation that I think is the big deal. Now that you may come out of here with a winning season, does Ken Jones, the athletic director over there, take a look at a situation where, okay, well, now we're back to, where we need to be. Is it going to be good for us to maybe jump back into the JCAA conference? And if they do, I think what Jeff mentioned this, I think either last week or the week before, the importance of, being able to get those wins and this, that, and the other. But, will the game, their last game against Herculaneum is going to be the testing ground of, can they handle themselves back in the JCAA conference? And I think the JCAA conference wants them back in. They don't want to see a team in the county here, kind of off doing their own thing because they kind of have to rebuild. But, for Dan Fox, that's a quick turnaround, maybe just 2 years. I think they've been in this independent conference. So, kudos to Dan Fox.
Yeah, exactly. And that was another thing that we had touched on and Jeff had touched on as well, too, that last game against Herculaneum. After seeing this full slate of independent games that they have in front of them, and right. Then to have the game at the end of the year with Herculaneum, I think is going to be a great stepping stone to see, because I think you throw that in like a week 5 thing, and and it's like a where are we at? But I say, you know what, I like that game at the end of the year to where you put the whole season right in front, and this is how we're going to finish. And
Right.
I think that would be a great credit to them. I mean, not to jump too far ahead, but because Crystal City's at Gateway this week, they they got a Saturday game, and Gateway's 3-1. So I mean, they're going to be pushed. This is going to be one of their bigger tests until that Herky game. So, but like I said, keep playing everybody you can until then, and let's let the chips fall where they may for that last game. I like that setup. Yeah.
There you go. Let's move on here. Pick a game here for us there, Matt.
St. Vincent Herculaneum. I mean, that came down to the wire, but I think maybe the bigger one might be Hillsborough, North County, and the fact that, Job Smith. I mean, he got held to about like 35 yards, and 18 carries, 35 yards, and I mean, he's sitting at 73 carries, 670 for the season. But I mean, you were talking about a kid that was averaging almost 135, 140 yards plus a game, and Hillsborough defense just stifled that explosiveness. That, and it's funny how shutting down one guy, because you want to say like, well, you talk about team wins, team this, everything like that, but you really saw what happened when you shut one guy down, and what that brought to the table for North County. And I like your thoughts on that too, Ray.
Yeah, I mean, I made mention last week as well about the Hillsborough defense. Don't overlook the Hillsborough defense, and they got Festus this week, so the big rivalry, and so I think Festus is going to have to really worry more about Hillsborough's defense than their offense. I think that they know what's coming as far as the game plan. We know Hillsborough's run first. And you've got the two-headed monster again back there with Romaine and Jackson Patterson, and so stop us. That's going to be their MO. But again, like I said, the defense has been so stout all season long here for Hillsborough, and you can just see it. They've wore teams down throughout the game. By the time it's third or fourth quarter, most of the teams are kind of like, okay, we're done, we give up. So kudos to Hillsborough.
Yeah, and you see Preston Brown. I mean, they don't throw the ball a whole heck of a lot. I mean, 25 for 37 on the year, but doing damage at like 419 yards. But you have 4 running backs that have 230 yards. Mm-hmm. You have 11 players with at least 1 touchdown.
Right.
I mean, and that's including Austin Romine. Mm-hmm. But again, a kid that only has 40 carries on the season, 470 yards and 7 TDs.
Right.
So that's a thing where it's like, okay, if you want to try to stop Austin Romine, because if you come with a game plan of like, let's stop the run, there's too many pieces that are going to keep coming at you outside of just like stopping Austin Romine, because you got to now account for Preston Brown as well too. And let's just say, again, a kid that, yes, 37 passes on the season, but what if they want to go to a passing game that you haven't accounted for?
Right.
Because, again, with the kids that have the number of touchdowns that they do, I mean, he's thrown 6 TDs in only 37 passing attempts, 25 completions, and he's got 6 touchdowns. Really?
Yeah.
So, if Festus is going to have their hands full.
Absolutely.
That's going to be for sure.
Yeah. And kudos to Hillsborough for spreading that out too. Spreading the love. I mean, if you stop one, okay, that's fine. We're going to give you a different one. Stop this guy, okay, it's fine. We got another one. And usually after 2 or 3, no high school our team has any more bullets in the gun, but Hillsborough does. So kudos to Coach Saharsky out there for having having the ability to be able to spread the love to multiple running backs if needed.
Because, I mean, right now you look at that Hillsborough Festus game that is coming up. I mean, because after that, Hillsborough's got Windsor and DeSoto. So you theoretically could be looking at 8-0. But the game that I've got circled right now is that one after that against Cardinal Ritter.
Ooh, yeah.
that that is going to be a sleeper game because Cardinal Ritter's coming to Hillsborough. That's not going to be at Cardinal Ritter.
Yeah.
But when you look at the numbers that Cardinal Ritter's putting up against the teams that they play up north in that Catholic school region up there, I would say let's just kind of like circle that one in pencil right now, because I think that's going to be a game that is kind of like the under the radar kind of game for them.
Absolutely. Let's move on to maybe one or two more here.
Let's look at Seckman and Melville, and your area leader in points, Mr. Cole Rubel. 12 carries, 158 yards, 5 TDs.
Kid's unbelievable.
And on the year so far, 754 yards total, 15 rushing TDs. Again, when you're talking about like a kid only playing like a half of a game, that is a lot of damage in a short amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah, you took the word right out of my mouth.
By the way, he's 12 and 19 for passing, with 4 TDs. So again, another what do you call it? Two-pronged threat that, just when you think, if you want to focus on stopping the running game, if we can stop him in the run, he's not afraid to sling it out there as well too. So Seckman going up 58-6 on Melville stuck out at me, and it was just not so much the points, but it was just the damage that was done in one half by that young man.
Yeah. I mean, the kid's unbelievable. I mean, you get – I don't know if they run that run-pass option, but they probably could very easily with a kid like this, And that's the hardest part about being a defense against, Cole Rubel. Is he gonna beat us with the pass? Is he gonna beat us with the run? Can he be the decoy? Because he can do it all, And that's why he's starting to see a lot of offers from a lot of different colleges. So kudos to Cole. That's why he's been that was the reason why he's one of our players of the week. So
exactly.
Yep. There you go.
And then the last game we did was the Windsor Bishop de Berg game on Saturday, and we'll round out with that just because that was one of our broadcasts that we did, and Coach Funston went up there and took on a very game ready de Berg Cavalier team who we'd covered in week 1 against DeSoto.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Coach Masters did a great job of getting the team ready. They shot themselves in the foot early. Windsor took care of 14 points within like the first minute and a half of the game. I mean, the first snap that de Berg took, they fumbled that.
Right.
Windsor turns around, and like we said before we even caught our breath, it was 14-0. Coach Funston goes to 2-2, and basically, the game plan that they had, he put together with Anthony Fletcher back there at quarterback and Jordan Foster doing his thing, running the ball. So I think they rotated those rushes and passes out really well. And but I think Coach Masters up there for Bishop de Berg, I mean, they're just a couple play calls away from just getting the kids finally to get some points on the board this year after being basically shut out all of last year,
right?
Winless last year, but to finally find the end zone a few times over the course of a couple games this year. Again, I think just they're going to be a little more competitive, I think, than people think.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you on that. I don't care what school you are. If you're, because every especially football, creatures of habit. Teams are creatures of habit. Players are creatures of habit. Doing a Saturday game is tough, and we'll say, and they won't give you an excuse. They won't say, well, that's no excuse type thing, and they want to not have an excuse on that. But Saturdays are tough ones. And this particular Saturday, It was hot. It's pretty hot out there. I mean, I'm glad that the referees maybe gave a few extra seconds, 10, 15 seconds to, help them get their breath a little bit more. You did start seeing a little bit of cramping here and there from time to time, but going over to for both teams, I mean, the preparation, I think you kind of saw the preparation. Coach Funston was ready to rock and roll, and I think Coach Masters was ready to go. but I'm not sure if his team was ready to go. And it's just kind of one of those things. It's flip a coin, you know. I mean, it's Saturday
right.
football. It's Saturday football.
But you're exactly right though, because your whole routine's thrown off, especially when you've got a game like this wasn't a scheduled Saturday game.
Right.
That's one thing. Even being told like a week ahead of time, oh, by the way, our Friday night game is going to get moved to Saturday.
Yeah.
You don't really have like as much time to really prep for that mentally, physically,
Right.
because when you're used to eating your pregame dinner at say like at 4:30
Sure.
for your 7:00 game, you know, now you're eating breakfast,
Yeah.
getting ready to take a bus ride, and in this case like a 45-hour, you know, bus ride up north, and you know you just don't know what you're going to get. And case in point, back in the day when we had our playoff game against Berkeley.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was like an 11:00 kickoff, and it wasn't like one person, you know, like, wow, we could tell that one person wasn't ready. None of us were. Right. And I can tell you that from experience. I mean, we went up there and you're yawning. You couldn't get anything going.
Right.
And when you're thrown out of your routine like that, you really got to hope that maybe it's like one or two players, not the whole team. And so, I mean, again, a credit to Coach Funston for, you know, getting the boys ready to be able to adjust to that switch.
Yeah. And a good win for Windsor as well. I mean, kept hearing AJ Patrick's name getting called a lot. So, you know, when I'm doing the producing, it's hard for me to kind of keep track of that. But had to kind of do double duty with you a little bit, try to say, well, yeah, that looked like a good play. You know, being a color guy from time to time. But anyway, yeah, I mean, AJ Patrick. That kid's he's a you know, multi-sport kid, and you hear him all the time. So I mean, we'll hear him again in basketball, we may hear him again in baseball. You know, so he's just one of those kids that you're going to hear in sports a lot. So, but yeah, big win there, good win there for Windsor there, 41-6. Hey, we're here with Coach Jeff Funston from the Windsor Owls. How you doing, Coach?
Doing well this afternoon. Got a hot practice lined out, but we'll be all right.
Yeah, going to be a hot one today. Hopefully by next Friday here, coming here, things will be cooling off. But let's talk a little bit about your big win over to Berg, 41-6 Saturday, and big game for Anthony Fletcher. Had a few touchdowns there, two of them rushing, one passing, 12 rushes, 76 yards. Another notable here, Jordan Foster. 15 rushes, 94 yards, a couple other folks there. And I just, good game plan on a really hot day as well, because that was a really warm one Saturday. Take us through the game and some of the things that you thought were important about the game.
Well, you kind of hit a couple of things that we were trying to get done, and that was get the ball in a couple of different people's hands. You know, Jordan had just right at 100 there. Fletch had a couple good things, and I think I've mentioned before to anybody that'll listen, Fletch is kind of a sneaky runner. When he gets it, he kind of slashes, and he gets places you don't think that he can get. But Jordan ran the ball so hard. He had to break a lot of tackles, and it took more than one guy to get him down. He's done that kind of work in the weight room to get himself ready to go for this year, and to see him really getting the shoulder pads down and being a tough tackle for us, that was fantastic. You add into that, AJ Patrick caught a couple passes. Michael Beatty caught a couple passes. Emilio Ford caught a pass. Brady Hirth caught a 2-point conversion there as well. I really enjoyed the way we kind of spread the ball all over the place. Lawrence Heffley got in for 4 or 5 rushes as well. So, when we got everybody catching passes, we got everybody doing those types of things. I think we're tough to defend sideline to sideline. Now,
excellent.
That was the offensive game plan for sure. Defense just found another gear. Those guys, our defense has been flying around very well here lately, especially. And we kind of hit a stride here this weekend where we were just, all over the place. Covered the pass well, tackled well, got a lot of people to the ball. Just did a lot of things really well.
Excellent. 2-2 on the season here right now, going into week 5. Are you happy with where you're at? I know we had a couple of bumps in the road, but got a couple of wins here along the way. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, unless you're undefeated, nobody's really where they want to be. But at the same time, I think we're setting ourselves up for a good push. Last year, we were sitting in the same spot. We were 3-2 going into week 6, and then faded down the stretch and didn't win any. To have the opportunity to be, in the same spot. We got to handle business this week against DeSoto, but then if we can go into the second half 3-2. I think that it sets us up for an okay position in the districts, and our goal is to play a Week 11 game. So, setting ourselves up for a good spot going into districts and maybe hosting a game on Week 10, that's really kind of been a big push for us. And then to win that game and to play Week 11, that's going to hit a season goal that we've set for ourselves. So, I think we've set ourselves up for a good spot there. We just got to execute. We got to execute. We can't have any mental lapses, especially we got couple tough games. 3 conference games in a row here with DeSoto, followed by Hillsborough and North County. So we've got to be locked in, and if we can do that, and we can make a push for the last 2 against St. Clair and Cuba, then I like the way we're setting up.
You talk about your game coming up here against DeSoto here. What is the game plan? You guys are pretty similar, I guess, in strength there. What will be the approach coming into this week?
Well, I know that Coach Woodland's big on their offensive and defensive line down there. I think they got some big kids, and we got to kind of match them toe for toe a little bit, and hopefully I don't know their team speed overall, but hopefully our big guys can beat them with some quickness if necessary. But in the same time, when it comes down to pushing, hopefully we can push right back and we can kind of control the line of scrimmage a little bit. It won't be easy. Like I said, on film, they look like they got some big kids. And I know they got a couple of skilled guys that are a little bit younger as well. We've really got to be sure that we handle our responsibilities and execute, especially defensively. They got a little bit of option attack coming at us. Every time we snap the ball, we got to be ready to go. If I've got dive, then I take the dive. If I got quarterback, I got the quarterback. If I got pitch, I got the pitch. And as long as we handle that, then we'll just kind of see where we're at by the end of the night.
We appreciate the time catching up with us here, and good luck to you this week. We appreciate it.
Dude, thank you.
That is Jeff Funston from the Windsor Owls. Hey, we're here with our player of the week, Hayden Bates from the Festus Tigers football team. How you doing, Hayden?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Really, really good. You guys had an amazing game this past Friday against DeSoto. 56-7 was the score there. You guys are starting to right the ship here from the last few weeks. You have 7 total touchdowns on the season, 4 in the game Friday night against DeSoto, around 80 yards in rushing, or passing, I should say. Take us through the game and maybe the game plan that Coach Ophadile had for you guys.
He just felt like it was like another game. So he's a very good coach, and he knows what he's doing on the offensive side. So I'm just glad he's my coach right now.
Awesome. Oop. Let's get this right here. There we go. Let's talk about your team this year. I know you guys came out of the chute, with 2 quick losses to both of the St. Genevieve teams down south there, and tough games there. But you've been able to turn around and have a win against, I believe that third week was that against Windsor?
Yeah, it was.
Windsor last week, and then this week with DeSoto. Maybe go through some of those games that, maybe some things that either coach has said or maybe the team has, voiced or talked about, in as far as the attitude and change and the success that it's brought.
Yeah, that first St. Gen game, we came out a little bit rocky, and we were kind of nervous in the locker room about it. But I mean, the first quarter went by, and our defense is starting to step up now, and the offense is starting to get grooves. And in the Valley game, everybody thought like we were going to get blown out, and I mean, we kind of did, but we kind of like stood our ground. And then against Windsor, we showed what we were made of. We came out a little flat in the third and fourth quarter, but the first and second quarter, we came out pretty good. And then the DeSoto game for homecoming, we did pretty good against DeSoto. We got our JV players in, so that was good for them.
Yeah, I'd say the last game and a half here, has been kind of that breakout, breakout games, and been able to build on that. So, just last couple questions here for you. We've got who are some of your biggest influences in your life right now?
I'll have to thank God, my grandma and grandpa, my dad, my mom, my brothers, Coach O. Coach O's a big one. He got me back into football. He wanted me to play my freshman year, and I regret it so much right now. But yeah, he's helped me out a lot through this past year.
Awesome. Well, last question for you. Maybe give a shout out, players, parents, coaches, etc. Go right ahead.
Like I said, my mom and dad and God, but Armand Branch is one. He's a good wide receiver. I like having him on my team. And Landon Yates, he's good. I like having Maya and Essien as the quarterback. And then our defense I have some good dudes on the defense too, and we're starting to step up on the defensive side. And then the offense, we're starting to find our groove on the offensive side too. And then Coach O, he's helped me out a lot to get back in.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks so much for being with us. You are the player of the week. Congratulations, and good luck on the rest of the season.
Yep, thank you.
That is Hayden Bates from the Festus Tigers. And we're back here for our Week 5 matchups, and they look just like this. Seckman at Fox, St. Genevieve at Park Hill Central, Berg at Father Tolton, Perryville at Grandview, Jefferson at Bayless, Festus at Hillsboro, Windsor at DeSoto, Herculaneum at St. Pius X, Vincent at Valley Catholic, North County at Battle, and Crystal City at Gateway STEM. Matthew, give me a game here that jumps out to you.
Right now, I think I got the one that jumps out is the St. Vincent Valley game. Both teams 4-0. St. Vincent Indians are really going to have their work cut out. Valley is showing no mercy to anybody on their schedule. Right. I mean, this is a game right now. I would say right now that this might be Valley's toughest test.
Right.
Might be this St. Vincent game up to this point. Do I see Valley taking this one? Yes. But again, and I don't think I have to tell them that, but you don't look past this game.
Right.
And I don't think Coach Nager is going to allow their team to do that because, like I said, they have methodically just destroyed everybody that has gotten in their way so far. I think the sleeper game for me, the one that just is. I know I touched on the Crystal City Gateway game.
Wrong one. Sorry.
Because you have the 6 players with 1 TD. You got 5 running backs that have over 150 yards apiece. But the game that is just kind of like, really? I think is the Jefferson at Bayless game. Bayless lost to Crystal City 32-14, and they lost a 2-point game to Grandview 32-30. Jefferson coming into this game 1-3, and the fact they got to go on the road up north into the city to play this game at Bayless. Mm-hmm. I think this is one that, like, if Bayless was going on the road down to R7 to play this one, I would say I could look for the Jays to take this at home. But I think Jefferson going on the road to Bayless, don't be surprised if you wake up on Saturday and you see Jefferson's at 1-4.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Again, because, I mean, I know Bayless only put 14 up on Crystal, but they put 30 up on Grandview.
Yeah.
And if the Jays aren't ready to play, that looks like a game that could scare me.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, you've got, just because there's so much unknown here on both sides here. You saw strikes of of greatness with Bayless. Like you said, they did score a lot on Grandview, but and Jefferson just hasn't been able to put a whole lot of points up. So I could see that. I mean, I could see a possible kind of an upset in a way, with Bayless. However, Jefferson also is that because they're on the road. To me, I think that the momentum and the pressure's off them, but the momentum could be on them for that. So I mean, if they're able to number one, be able to run the ball a little bit, and then B, be able to control their emotions, I think they're going to be all right. But you never know. I mean, if Bayless can jump on them real quick, get a touchdown or two, or even score more than 10 points quickly or early,
Right.
Immediately you start thinking, because we've seen it in the past. Well, Jefferson is already underneath this pressure, and their emotions come into effect at that point, and they've been in trouble with the emotions in the past here early this season. So,
And like I said last week, Jefferson they were like 2 possessions away from being 3-0, just as much as they were a
Right.
couple. I mean, outside of the victory at Cuba, at the 35-8, they lost 6-3 at Fredericktown, and they lost 16-8 at Herculaneum. Then you look at last week's 27-12 loss at St. Pius. That's kind of the one that really sticks out. I mean, they fought and clawed their way on that Herky game, but I just don't go to sleep against Bayless.
Right. I get it.
Yep.
I get it. Any other games?
Well, I mean, we will be doing the Seckman Fox game, so we're going to get to see Cole Rubel firsthand. I am excited for that matchup. I mean, truthfully, I mean that's the game for me, because I know there was also Oakville 3-1. They're going to Eureka, and this Kevin Emanuel kid who has 920 yards. I mean, he is 72 yards away from 1,000 yards.
Wow, already.
Yeah,
and we're only in
And,
week 5, halfway
right.
through the season. Unbelievable. That's
And,
crazy.
So I say that because I didn't know if that was on our radar or not, but I would say that the Seckman Fox game,
Okay.
Whether we were doing that one or not, I like the matchup in that because Coach Tinker's going to have his hands full and then some with Cole Rubel and what he brings to the table.
Right. I agree. We got it, and we've already talked a little bit about the Festus Hillsboro game. It is what it is. Festus has kind of known to struggle against Hillsboro just because of the ground and pound. And to me, I've always said this in the past, and it's a good constructive analysis for Hillsboro. They lull you to sleep with the run, and then the minute that they do that, they're going to strike hard. And so run.
When you have 11 players with a TD, Ray, I mean,
right,
you're going to have to be ready.
Yep.
Because I mean, this Preston Brown has got. I say Austin Brown because you have Preston Brown and Austin Romine, and you throw those two together, and you got an Austin Brown or a Preston Romine, whatever. But it's not like it's just like but they're not just handing the ball off to one guy,
right?
And it's not like a Cole Rubel or an Eli Tebow. This is you've got a lot of weapons to account for, and right. Festus is. Oh, by the way, they got to take the bus to Hillsboro.
Yeah.
So instead of having, maybe a chance at some home cooking with this, now they got to go to the Hawk's Nest and shoo-wee.
Gonna be a fun one. Gonna be a fun one. Well, there you have it. There you are.
Coach O's going to have his hands full.
Yeah, I can imagine. Go Coach O, So there you have it. We're going to wrap things up here. Thanks for being with us here on Upon Further Review, and hopefully next week we'll have Jeff Whitener back with us, and praying that he gets well. He's a little under the weather today. And for all of us here at Upon Further Review, Matt Bates, myself, Ray Halbrook, have a great evening.